Yo, this hot, this the spot, there it is, pod.com. We're interviewing the best comedians, so tune in quick and get your ears receiving them. We talking about life and life to stream right to you, from the microphone right to your home, dude. Side note, this might get embarrassing, but no, don't sweat, yo, cause there it is.
Welcome to the There It Is podcast, a comedy podcast to help you find your inspiration. I'm your host, Jason Farr. Let's do this. Thanks so much for being here. We have an excellent episode for you today. We have psychic stand-up Karen Rontowski. She's amazing. She's been on Late Show with David Letterman, Comedy Central, and more. She's touring all over the place, and she's so sweet and nice, and we have a really great and illuminating conversation about her psychic abilities, the paranormal, and more. Why don't we just get right to it? Here's my chat with Karen Rontowski.
Good to see you again, Jason.
Good to see you, too. It's been 6-ish months.
It could be.
What a fun show that was. I had never
you.
seen a show like that.
It's pretty, I think it's unique. There's one other guy that kind of does a mentalist type thing, but I venture to say it's a one of a kind, because I hear young comedians always say, I'm the only one that does that. And I always know, no, you're not. So I never say I'm the only one.
Right, I hear you. So you're originally from Massachusetts.
Yes.
But you live in Pennsylvania now?
Well, now I live in Los Angeles. I'm back in Los Angeles. When I was doing the show when you saw it, I was actually in Utica, New York. I had to move back to Utica, New York, take care of two parents with dementia.
Gotcha. Yeah, you mentioned that in the show.
Yes, upstate New York is not my thing, but I had all that work out there, so now I'm back in LA.
And that's more your vibe, or do you like other parts of California better?
No, Los Angeles is my vibe. I don't know why people hate it. There is always something to do. You can get a milkshake at 2 a.m. if you want. There's so many things I love about LA. I'm the total LA Valley girl. I ride my little electric scooter to hot yoga every morning.
Oh, that's great.
Garden. Yeah, I love it here.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I visited my brother who lives outside of Los Angeles, and I'm from the Carolinas, so driving is normal, but it just felt like even more driving was happening when we were there that I had ever experienced. But I don't know if that was just because we were trying to hit all these different sites, and the sites are spread out enough there that it can feel like a lot more driving than what you'd probably do if you're living there. I mean, you could be in the car for a while, but...
Yes, but where I live, everything, like I walk to the grocery store.
Oh, awesome.
I got the electric bike. I got the scooter. When I go to gigs, that's a lot of driving. But people don't realize how big Los Angeles is.
Yeah, it really is spread out.
Yeah, there's a fire on the news. Are you near that? And I was like, not even hours near.
Yeah. No, I'm on a group chat with my family, and my parents are always, particularly my dad, is always messaging my brother like, oh, I heard about the fires, are you close? And my brother's like, I don't even smell smoke. That is not near me.
Yeah.
That is not close.
Yeah. Most of those fires are near the rich people. May we someday be that rich to be near the fires.
Yeah. So a lot of times when I have a guest on who they have comedy and something else they do, that I wonder what came first. But with you, it's comedy and the psychic nature of your life. I imagine the psychic part came before comedy. Is that fair to assume?
I think, you're kind of right. People always ask me that, and I don't have a good answer because I've always kind of done both. Like,
Okay.
I've been into the psychic paranormal stuff since I was a kid. I mean, and literally, this is kind of stretching it a little bit, but like when I was in 6th grade, I used to do stand-up comedy at church shows. So
Okay,
it wasn't
yeah.
until I was in my 20s when I was like, oh, you can do this. It's a career.
Wow.
But I think that's one of the luckiest things in life is that I have two things that I've loved and always loved. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's hard people when they're like, I don't know what I want to do. And I'm always like, I don't have enough time to do what I want to do.
Yeah. What did you love about comedy, especially at such a young age, that made you want to do
Well,
it?
I that's a good question. I think just making people laugh. I always
Hmm.
think if you could capture how comedians are made, I kind of
Hmm.
think they're born. But if you were doing a scene in a movie, you would see two kids in some sort of there's some horrific domestic thing, awful situation, and one looks at the other and says something that gets a laugh.
Hmm.
And that kid learns I can change things by making people laugh. I can change a vibe. I can change a situation. I can make someone feel better by making them laugh.
Yeah. And what about psychic things did you love? Why did you love that so much?
Well, I think I love anything. It's kind of funny because I'm always amazed when people don't believe in psychics because I have just always been that. I had an experience when I was very young. My sister had epilepsy, and we went to the beach one day, and she didn't want to go in the water at all. Beach was 5 hour drive. We were way in Massachusetts, the other end of the state. So when we went to the beach, it was a big day. So she didn't want to go in the water because she thought she was going to have a seizure. And so the day goes on. Finally, the end of the day, one more chance, then we're going to leave. So she goes in the water and she's about 20 feet from me. The first wave goes by, and then she looks at me and she screams, "Oh my God, I'm going to have a seizure." So I run over to her. I think I was in elementary school at this time. And she's 3 years older. So we were both very young. And she grabs me and puts her arms around my neck and sits on my hip. And I start to run into the beach. And in my head, I hear someone very clearly say, "No, no, run deeper into the water." So I turn around and I run deeper into the water, and a big wave comes. And my dad said the only thing that made it over the curl was her head. And if we had been in any closer, we would have gotten caught, tumbled and caught in the undertow.
Oh,
So
wow.
when we got to the beach, I said, "Dad, you were right next to her. Why didn't you grab her when she screamed?" And he said, "She never screamed." And then I said, "Tell him you screamed." And she said, "I froze. I never screamed." So that was like one of my first experiences.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for the listeners, my mouth is agape. I was just listening to that with my mouth wide open. Wow. What is it that people get wrong about being a psychic? Because I feel like people conflate like all the different things into one, but are there different levels to what it is? Like, explain this.
There's one that is my biggest. In fact, I'm trying to write some jokes about this, which is people think that a psychic would know everything all the time. Why didn't you see? Like, that's kind of the joke. Why didn't you
Yeah.
see that coming? And they don't realize, like, when I sit down and do readings, I am wiped out after three. It takes so much energy and so much focus just to tune in and be able to clear your head and just have information come in.
Yeah.
So they kind of think that you should know everything all the time, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is they kind of expect it to be perfect information. It's not we have a choice. In fact, we have a choice in everything. So when somebody comes to me for a reading, I'm telling them the trajectory they're on right now. This is where you're going. This is, I believe in life. We have bullet points we're going to hit. How we get to those is what helps us. Oh, I'm sorry. That should be off. See, I should have known I was going to get a text when you were talking to me. But something that is the reverse of that is very interesting. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. We can change timelines. We can jump onto a different timeline and change how that's going to go. But a lot of women will call me that are having trouble getting pregnant. And they will say, "Am I ever going to have a baby?" And I will pull the cards, and there will clearly be the pregnancy card and the baby card. And I'll be like, "Yeah, I don't know what the problem is because it's right here on the cards."
Uh-huh.
And they will call me like a week later and be like, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." And I think either they psychically knew they were pregnant and made the appointment, they just needed someone else to say it, or somehow I gave them permission that this was okay. And I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but that is the greatest example of mind over matter.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Do you think, because you mentioned, like you think sometimes those people had a psychic moment and knew something. Do you think it's something that is kind of in many people?
I think it's in all people. It's
Okay.
in all people. And it's like when you watch the guys on the stock market that are really good, they have just tuned their psychic ability to the stock market. That's just, they put it that way. They do it. When you watch somebody make a movie that they know exactly, oh, this is what's going to be, and this, it's instinct. And I think everyone has it. One time, a long, long time ago, we were pitching a show with a journalist, and the
Hmm.
show was called, and I had my little dog, his name was Courage. And the show was called A Psychic, a Skeptic, and a Dog Named Courage.
Hmm.
And he was such a great interviewer. And we would say we were at a college and we were like, there's the legends of ghosts here. Have you ever seen a ghost? And he would go, watch this. And he'd go, hey, have you ever seen a ghost? And the person would go, no, no. And he goes, no, you never saw anything that you like might mistake for a ghost? No, no, no. You're sure you've never seen a ghost? And the person would go, well, there was this one time. And it was like he had to break them down because
Yeah,
there's such a stigma about being psychic or, seeing anything in the paranormal. But everyone has the ability. I think just most people are either using it and not knowing it or not tuning into it.
that's interesting. I'll tell you this, I don't know if I've shared this publicly before, but there have been a couple of instances in my life where I just called it a gut feeling of like,
Hmm.
Jason, you should do this. So one day when I was in high school, my cousin, for the first 2 years of high school, he was a year ahead of me. He would drive us to school. And he would come over to my place, he'd just sit out in the car and wait. And I would open, my ritual is to go in the den, open the door. So if I walked past, I could see that he's there. And I was walking into the den to open the door, and something told me to put my shoes on. I just felt this gut feeling like, oh, you should put your shoes on before you open the door. And I just brushed it off. It's like, that's silly. I'm just opening the door. It's no big deal. I could do it after. And I go up to the door and I open it. And I guess in my sleep deprived mind, or so early, there's like a little metal piece at the bottom of the door. There's this little metal jagged piece that stuck out. And that piece went over my big toe and just
Oh,
ripped the nail. And it was so painful.
oh,
And I was like, oh, that's why I had that feeling. I had never like hit that before. So that was part of the reason I brushed it off, because I was like, I've never
Mhm.
had this problem before. Why would I suddenly need to I don't know that I ever put my shoes on before I opened the door. I had no reason to believe it. So I disregarded it and then ripped my big toenail off. It was
Ooh.
terrible. And the other time was my bad wreck. I had this bad car accident, and I had some kind of feeling about like, hey, I was going under the speed limit, so I thought I was being safe enough, but it had been raining all day. And I was like second slowest car in the road because I was trying to be that careful. But there was something that was saying like, hey, don't change lanes to deal with this maniac driving his big 18-wheeler barreling down on me. Like I was dealing with that on the road. And I was like, don't move yet. But I did anyway. Then I hydroplaned and had this horrible accident. Again, wasn't even speeding. It was nuts.
Oh,
And there have been other times where I had some kind of feeling like that. But after those two instances, I said, whenever I have that gut feeling, I'm just going to listen to it.
mm-hmm.
And the times that I didn't listen to it, I was just like so extra careful that things didn't happen. But like, we never know what we're avoiding when we listen to those urges. But I wonder if that was me being a little psychic in those two instances, and I should have followed it, but I didn't.
100%. And you're probably following it a lot more than you think, but it's those times where you go, oh, I should have, I missed it. I didn't,
Right.
that those are the times that you really feel like, oh, why didn't I listen? When other times you might just be doing it. But
Hmm.
also, I truly believe that actors, especially, are channeling. You guys are channeling all the time. When you see those actors, that turn into different people. I
Yeah.
think that's a form of channeling. A very interesting and kind of interesting story that my dad happened to one of my dad's friends a long time ago about your instincts. Like gamblers have incredible instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly enough, serial killers are some of the most psychic people you'll ever meet.
I
You have
bet.
in life, you have higher guides and you have lower guides, and they tune into the lower. But my dad, his friend was a poker player. He played poker all the time. That's all he played at the casino. And one day he's walking out of the casino and he's got $1 and he throws it into a slot machine. And as he pulls the lever, the guy next to him goes, no, 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 no. You can't do that. And he hits it for a huge jackpot. And all these guys in suits come out and pull him in the back. And they interviewed him for hours and interrogated him. And that machine was set up to be an FBI informant payoff. And the first guy was supposed to be watching the machine. The snitch was supposed to sit down and win a bunch of money.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, how did you know that machine was going to hit? And the guy was like, didn't know. And they were like, we have your card from the casino. You've never played anything but poker. Like they thought he was in on it. They eventually had to give him the money. But talk about someone knowing that machine's going to hit. Just put that dollar in.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, there's something weird about instincts because, like, where does that come from?
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like instincts sort of come from the same place that the tarot comes from, which there is a collective, like collective consciousness
Yeah.
where we all, like when we walk in a room, we all somewhere in our mind know what everyone in that room is thinking. We
Yeah.
have some sort of telepathic thing going on there. I always say, I don't think the world is ready for telepathy because I have Facebook and I think we see the outer thoughts are bad enough. We don't need any inner
For
thought.
sure. Yeah. I don't want to hear the stuff that these people on Threads are holding back.
Yes.
No, that's wild. It's so fascinating to me. I mean, I grew up with a mom who was all for getting a psychic reading. So, I would hear stuff. You're right about like sometimes the story isn't perfect. Like what you hear is not perfect because of maybe timing. And then also just the nature of getting a psychic reading could make you alter what you were originally going to do.
Yep.
How
Yep.
does that fit in when you're giving readings?
It fits in. It's why I would rather have a client that would hear what I say and go, like a lot of times a good example is somebody will be married or have a mate and how's my relationship going? And I'll be, there is a fight coming. Somebody is going to really go off the rails. This is a big one. And what will happen, and they're like, well, it's always fights, blah, blah, blah. And then something will happen and it'll be so bad. And the person will call me and say, all I remember was you telling me this was going to happen and for me to hold it together. And it was okay. But it's kind of like it gives you that heads up, like, okay, I'm not going to really lose my mind over this, or I'm going to make better choices because this is what's coming.
Yeah.
So that can really be helpful. When people call and think I'm in charge of their future, that's what, like, when people like, don't say anything bad, and it's like, I wouldn't say anything bad because I think a reading should be encouraging, could give a warning, but they think if I say something, that's going to happen. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not perfect and you're in charge.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let's talk about some more things that are like phenomenons and how you view them and if they overlap at all with psychic stuff. I remember in psychology class learning about the reason they believe deja vu happens. There were two different ways of looking at it. One was like your brain rebooting, the way a computer reboots, which I never understood. But someone else, a friend of mine in that class, was like, that makes so much sense to me. And I was like, that's not my experience with deja vu. My experience with deja vu was the other definition, which it literally just feels like you lived it before. And for me, I feel like many of the times I remember having deja vu, it felt like something I literally dreamed because I'd like kind of remember the dream, the time I had the dream. And it would be mundane stuff, like walking down the stairs and my friend's dad says something. And I'm like, I had a dream about this a few weeks ago or a few months ago. What is all that? And is any of that in the realm of this of psychic? I don't know what to call it. It's the psychic world or what?
I would paranormal metaphysical world. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things with that, which is we measure time as like it's passing. When I think time is more lateral than vertical. I think when we get in touch with our higher self or our self that's already lived that, that's when it kind of overlaps. Something kind of overlaps there, and we're like, oh, I remember this. So it's kind of like I feel it can also kind of be a glitch in time. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes I think I have seen so many crazy things that I don't write off anything. And I also believe your friend's programming thing too. I have feelings on that too. But I think sometimes we don't realize how powerful we are. Like if you're late for something and you're like, I got to get there, you're going to be later. You can actually kind of slow down time by being like, all right, I'm going to get there when I get there and everything's going to be, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I'm not late. I'm on time. So I think time, and we have these rigid rules that we just think it's like this and there's no difference. People are learning, and they're going to be learning over the next couple of years because things are changing drastically, that everything is not alike. Mandela effects are real and stuff like that. And what your friend was talking about, again, I always refer to the collective consciousness. So in this area, I'll explain it this way. Do you know what remote viewing is?
Remote viewing? I don't think so.
So remote viewing is sort of a psychic way of a program from the CIA where they would remote view. They'd call in all these psychics that they had trained a special way. And the psychics, they'd just give them digits and they would remote view and say what was at that location. Some people would say that's how they found bin Laden. I don't know. That's that kind of thing. You can remote view, like I could remote view, go to your apartment and start looking around. It's kind of like that. Now, here's how it's explained, because it all sounds crazy.
Yeah.
If you threw a stone in a lake and the stone skipped and then landed and the water ripples, if you could freeze that lake and take one piece of ice out of that lake, that piece of ice would hold all the information you needed about the size of the rock, when the rock hit, how it rippled through the lake. So that's kind of what we're doing in the psychic world. Is I feel like all the information doesn't have to be, I don't have to watch you throw the rock and count how many times it skipped. In the consciousness, if we can sort of grab a piece of information, we can get it. Does that make any sense?
I think I get it. I don't know why though.
I know, right? But you're right.
But there's like a connection between the currents. Like it would tell you, yeah, that's interesting. I would need it to sink in a little bit more to get it when it comes to like viewing a different space or something, but I get it.
Right. Well, if you think about all the atoms and the things in the space and that are connecting the lake, then all the information about the lake is in all of them. They just found out, I shouldn't even start this one because it's a little sketchy, but they just found out that cells, or is it atoms, act differently when they're being watched than when they're not. Yeah, that's I should have more information before I bring that up.
But that's an interesting concept. Is it like atoms are, dance like nobody's watching sort of thing? Like
well, kind of. Well, we have influence over them.
Yeah.
We have influence over how they're going to react or change. But I still believe everything is connected. There is no empty space. We are all one. We just have to know how to read that space. But when your friend understood the thing about programs, I totally get that. I think everything is basically a program. And it's just something that we can only understand this much when there's a world of programs. There's a theory out there that archangels are kind of a form of AI. that
Hmm.
it's all, but it's just math or programming that we don't have the capacity to
Like a
understand.
matrix sort of thing, or like
I totally believe in a matrix. Yeah.
wow. Is that like when people say we're in a simulation? Is that that same thing?
Yes, and I tend to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I you can kind of sometimes see ripples in reality. You can see different timelines. Like
Uh-huh.
Mandela effects are, you know what Mandela effects are?
I do, yes. There, and it's not just because of the Sinbad and Kazam thing or Shazam or whatever it was. No, I know of this concept, and I get how it can happen.
Yeah, a different timeline. Yeah,
Mm.
my favorite new one is King Tut used to have a snake on his thing. Now there's a snake and I think it's a square triangle. There's two
Yeah,
things there now.
yeah.
And you can find where it wasn't like that before. So that's where I get like there's so much more that we just can't comprehend.
Yeah.
I think when you talk to, more ancient, this society, I forget sometimes how freaked out people get when I say psychic or how they don't believe at all. Like I'm
Hmm.
always surprised. But I think when you get back to more primitive people that relied on their instincts and had more open mind to it, I think you even see more. Once you start to, it's almost like they always say in the paranormal, if you're going to look into the paranormal, it's going to look back. So if you're going to start poking around and looking for ghosts and stuff, they're coming. So
Oh, oh yeah,
the
I see.
yeah. So but I feel like that's the same thing with the Matrix or when you start noticing things like I feel like right now especially there's a real big change in the atmosphere going on. People are overly tired, there's a lot of brain fog, there's a lot of things going on. And they keep talking about how we're getting very, very close to disclosure, which is not just the government saying what they know, but people seeing aliens, seeing spaceships, and it's getting more and more common.
Hmm.
And there were people that could always see. There were people that could see them. Two people would see, and three people would be like, "I don't see anything."
Oh
What
yeah.
the Earth is kind of doing is it's kind of shifting. So soon everybody will be able to see. So
Hmm.
we're having weird effects on our bodies right now. Everybody's feeling very strange, or is something going on, or something like that. So, but I probably went way off the cliff. I will tell your listeners, just hang with that for a minute. In about a year, you'll be like, "Oh, that crazy lady was right. I see aliens all the time."
How does this relate to spirituality? Or is it kind of all one and the same, just different ways of describing it?
Well, I think spirituality is kind of well, I think it's something different. So, I'm not a religious person, but I feel like the Gnostics kind of that Gnosticism appeals to me,
Hmm.
resonates with me. But one of the things about Gnosticism is that there is a true energy source that is all love, that is life, that we are made of.
Hmm.
Okay. And we have that connection all the time. We can have it strong, we can have it weak, whatever we want, but that we are part of that source. These other things are not. That's kind of why they like to watch us, or they
Hmm.
want to be like us, or they want to come in. They don't have that connection. They're kind of in between there, because I kind of feel like Earth is the reality show of the universe.
Oh,
It's like
interesting.
what are they doing? What's that? But but I feel like spirituality is more like I know that connection is there. Gnosticism works a lot around Jesus and what Jesus said and Mary Magdalene and both of them. Like I feel a connection to all of that.
Hmm.
And that's more your morality and how you treat other people. That's how I see spirituality. The rest of it, I think, is actually, especially even psychic stuff, I think it's the same as someone, Michael Jordan, we can all play basketball, but we can't all be Michael Jordan.
Right, yeah.
He worked on it. He had the natural skills. That's everything. But society, Western society, so made us like science and facts. And I don't care what your gut thinks. And opinions are not facts. We kind of got so far away from it.
Yeah, I can see how we certainly got away from that sort of openness and clear-headedness, and a lot of the stuff we have now is like it bogs our minds down. Doctors are saying it too. This isn't like
Hmm.
controversial even. This is another angle I'm curious about with you. You know how when someone walks into a room and heads just turn, and like people might turn all the way around. They didn't see the person walk in. They just felt
Hmm.
something. They felt something happen. Those are those people who just have they have a big presence, and they're not walking in being loud or anything. They just, something about
Yep.
their presence in the space gets people's attention. Do you think that relates at all to this?
Yes. And I think that's something you can build up in yourself. It's also the reverse, where when you walk into a room where people have just had a fight and you're like, oh, what went on in here? This doesn't
Right.
feel
Yeah.
right at all.
Right.
We all kind of carry a frequency and a presence. And
Hmm.
there's this woman on TikTok that tells the best story about what we call coherence. Okay. I wish I could remember her name so I could give her credit. Zoran Mondani is one of those people.
Hmm.
So Zoran is Trump hates him. Everything's terrible about
He's a
him.
far
He's
leftist.
awful. He's, whatever, a terrorist, whatever. And he gets to the White House
Yeah.
and Trump is in love.
Twice this happened.
Yes. And what that is Zoran Mondani has what we call coherence. He knows who he is. He's not uncomfortable. He's not going there to please him. He's not going there to get anything from him. He's like, I am this energy and I am here. Trump is so incoherent. He's all over the place. He
Hmm.
doesn't know what he wants. He's lying here and there. He doesn't even know who he is. Coherence comes in. He wants to be near it. He wants to be around it. And all Zoran Mondani did was hold his own space,
Yeah.
hold his own thoughts. We are all programmed to second guess ourselves, and that's in every way.
Hmm.
You can even have a political view, and then somebody comes up and starts bullying you, and you kind of go, okay, great, and walk away. But coherence is just, this is who I am, and this is what I do. Some people actually do also just have frequencies that are kind of magical, you can say, but that authenticity and knowing who you are, that creates such a coherent. When you walk into a room and there's 100 kids and they're all running around crazy,
Hmm.
and then you see that one kid sitting in the corner playing with one toy all alone, doesn't even know what else is going on around him. That is focus, that is coherence. And I think that's the energy that so many people are drawn to.
Yeah, I love this. It's something I wish I had
You
as an
do.
actor
You
trying to have
should.
success.
You will. Yeah. Well, you know what? If that's what you want to do, you just kind of focus on your aura, focus on your energy, focus on being the biggest person in the room. Just think about what that would look like in your head. Try it at the DMV, try it at a restaurant. Walk in with that presence, because we all have all these capabilities. There's a story about Marilyn Monroe, and I think she was with Joe DiMaggio or somebody, and she was walking down the street and nobody knew who she was, and he was like, wow, nobody recognized you. And she said, oh, you wanted to be with Marilyn. And she kind of threw her head back and just started with this energy. And all of a sudden, all these fans ran over to her.
Wow.
So it's something we are all capable of.
Yeah, and a lot of, these public figures, they have a presence. That's how they
Mm-hmm.
get attention. That's how they draw people's
Yes.
eyes when they're on screen or on
Yep.
stage. It's a fascinating thing.
And in that collective, our subconscious is in charge of everything.
Hmm.
So there's like a couple of tricks for this. Like, say, Tom Cruise knows he's a star.
Hmm.
He always knew it.
Hmm.
He's known it. So when he walks in that room, there is no question that a star came into this room.
Hmm.
Well, that's why, the thing positive, say positive is kind of like, it's nice on the surface and it's not a lie, but it doesn't work if underneath that blanket your subconscious is telling you you're worthless or nobody cares about you. That's why we
Mm.
kind of have to work on programming our subconscious. If I was to say to you, oh, I'm never going to have any money, My subconscious goes, all right, we need to create situations so that she never has any money. And then there you go. That's why people say, I knew it. I knew it wasn't going to work. I knew it, because you had that there. But if I say, I never have any money, and then I quickly go, oh, that's a lie, my subconscious will go, oh, she said that's a lie. Ignore that. We're not going to do that. It's literally, that's your dreams, that's your subconscious being literal. So positive thinking is a answer. It's not the perfect answer.
Is it just like the way to get in the door, but then there's that subconsciousness that you're talking about that we have to focus on?
Yeah, it's sort of like the shadow side and working those layers underneath. You know, the show that you saw me do, the psychic stand-up show, I've been doing that for 30 years and nobody cared. But I was like, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden it just kind of came into its time and place.
Yeah.
And now people are finding it, and I don't even know how they're finding it. But it just sort of came into its space because I was like, yeah, this is it. If I die poor doing this or I die rich doing it, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, that's amazing. That's an amazing attitude to have. I do think artists should do that. They should say, this is who I am, because that's what art needs, or people who know themselves and know how they see the world and present that to the world. That's what's interesting. Not when they try to do what they think people want to see, because that's when you start getting boring stuff or the same thing over and over again.
Yes. And another thing, and I don't know, you know, there's kind of like, I don't disagree, but I don't rely on this. It's kind of like when we talk about programming in the Matrix, okay, the Matrix is bad. The Matrix wants to keep you down. And we've programmed, first of all, this whole country has been programmed to be a victim in every way. You're always a victim, no matter who you are. And there are real victims out there. I'm not saying that.
You're right. No, I know what you mean.
When we get diagnoses, I got, like, for a little while, I thought I had an autoimmune, and I was like, I'm not going to the doctor, because as soon as he tells me, I'm going to be tired all the time, because I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And obviously nothing is 100%. If you think you're sick, go to the doctor.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go get an ADHD thing, because then I'm going to, you know, there's real people that have real ADHD. Nobody needs me to walk in and go, oh, I have it too. But we in this country, especially, people will say to me, am I going to meet the love of my life, or am I going to die alone? And I'm like, there's a huge area between those two things. It's not one or the other. You might die at a mall, so you won't be alone. I don't know what to tell you, right? But when people have this either or, do I have to get a job or do I pursue my dream? Do both. You're never supposed to give up on your dream. It just maybe isn't going to look exactly what you think it's going to look like right now.
Right. And that's one of the big things, I think, is like people think, oh, well, I'll never be as famous as Tom Cruise. It's like, okay, well, why should you still not pursue what you want to pursue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and maybe if you pursue it, you'll be surprised.
Yeah. Who knows? You know, you have no idea. How did you start blending comedy into this, or was that always there, even going back to when you were in 6th grade?
So I really started both like around 24. I was always into comedy. I was always watching comedy, just always doing it, but not really getting on stage and doing it. And then when I went to college, I saw a TV show where a comedian was on there, and I was like, you just do that? Like, that's the other thing in this country. Yeah, you just do it. You just try it. You just take a class. You do whatever you have to do. That's everything in life. Try it. Just try it. The fear that people have, that's another thing about getting a tarot reading. I usually can dig down when someone's like, I keep getting to this level and I keep getting stuck. You try and dig down and find out what's the self-sabotage. What's the program that's running? Is it that your parents always said artists don't make money? What's the program that's stopping you? Right. So when I turned 24, I hated school. I don't know why I went to college. I went to college. I hated school. I get to Las Vegas. I just go. I just go with $1,000 in my pocket and a bike. And I moved to Las Vegas. I become a cigarette girl, and I meet a bellman, and he says, oh, I do comedy. You should come with me one night. And I go. First joke was an old joke, got a big laugh. And then the rest of my material was terrible. And nobody, but I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. That's it. There's no other questions. And then I went to a tarot reader who was, I still call her my teacher. She would explain the cards as she was telling me what she was seeing. And she kept saying, you have to get a deck. You have to get a deck and learn these. And I thought, yeah, now that I understand every symbol means something, we're putting together a story. I was like, I'm just going to read every book until I get this. And even to this day, I'll still pull out a book here and there and refresh and stuff. But I was doing stand-up, and then even before I started doing private readings and people paying me to do them, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this on stage. And most tarot readers were like, weren't you afraid? And I was like, no, I probably should have been. But I was like, so I had my best friend, Lamont Ferguson, who was great with crowd work. I was like, you take the questions and I'll do the cards. And it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of went from there. Now, a lot of places on the road didn't want me to do it, or it's kind of a hard thing because you might get some Christians that might be offended by it.
Certain areas, yeah.
Yeah, but I eventually would like ask, hey, I'm going to do this at the end of the show. And a lot of guys, clubs were like, okay. And then and a lot of people loved it. And then eventually I just was like, I'm just always going to do this. They didn't like the name, and then I was working for a guy out on the East Coast. This was literally like 2 years ago. And he said, people really like this name, Psychic Stand-Up. I think I can sell this. I can book you. And he was like, do you want to? And I was like, do I want you to do the hardest part of my job? Yes, I do. And just like that, he booked me everywhere, and he took out ads, and people are coming, and I couldn't be more grateful.
That's excellent. That's so great. And
yeah,
how does, what we were talking about with frequencies and being, the success in the entertainment business is something that everyone who's in the entertainment business wants so they can keep doing it. Do you think about, having turning the frequency on, turning it on the way Marilyn Monroe did to sort of attract attention?
Not anymore. I don't think so, because I think it just came along with just one foot in front of the other. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. One thing that I do a lot of is, like, there was a particular song that I see playing in the background when I want to do this. I want to see the room full. I want to be in theaters. I want to have this. And this song is playing in the background. And I will listen to a song like that over and over, just kind of cement what this is going to look like. And it happened. I do that more and more with things. And it's kind of interesting because, again, these two things, in case you couldn't tell, comedy and tarot, I could talk about them forever. So they are my focus. So my crowd is really metaphysical people, witches. There's, like I said, there's a guy that people go to watch. He's more of a mentalist. He doesn't use tarot. And they watch him in awe. I think the people that come to see me are like me, or I can't talk to my family because they don't think I'm psychic, and I'm psychic. So I sort of created this energy where people like me are coming. Okay. And I also think there's no place where metaphysical people get to go to laugh. They go to classes, they can go to meditation, but this is just people going, I think I'm like her. I think I'm funny like her. I think I could do that. So I think I just drew in people like me. And I think that's more where we're going. People are more, movies are different because you're supposed to be a lot of different things. But I think we are pulling in audiences that smaller cult audiences more so than general audiences.
Interesting. Yeah, and with mentalists, like, they have been an act for so long, but a psychic stand-up has not been a thing for so long. I mean, you're the first one I've heard of. But I'd heard of mentalists before, so I understand how that can happen.
There are some other comedians that read tarot. I think I am just probably 20, 40 years older than them.
Yeah.
So I've had more time to cultivate my show
Yeah.
and really put it together. And, I just am one of those people this was all I was going to do. If I get married along the way, that's fine. If I have kids, that's fine. But this is what I'm doing. So I
Yeah.
kind of really have that. Other people probably have more of a life than I do, but I just had that, bulldog one lane determination.
Yeah. And
And I'm
purposeful.
60. Yeah, purposeful. And I'm 60, so it wasn't overnight, but
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
in its time.
I love that. I think it's inspiring. So, oh, you're welcome. Well, we've reached the end of the episode. It's time to create something together. And I feel like there are a couple of options. I'll give you two options here. Obviously,
Okay.
one is a reading, but I'm sure a listener is like, oh, a reading. But that's also like work, and I don't want you to feel like you have to do work and put the mental capacity into that because you mentioned earlier that it's draining. And then the other would maybe be advice of how someone could utilize what we've talked about a little bit of in trying to pursue their goals. Which would you like to do?
I think advice is easier, or I could hold up some cards and force you to do a reading.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know nothing about what these cards mean. Let's do that one, guy. Because we did a reading when I saw you a while back, and so I don't need a
Yep.
reading again. I'd love to try this out. So you'll
Well,
is
I will, and just I know we have a few minutes, but I will tell you. So there was a script writing book called The Writer's Journey,
I've
and
heard
the
of it. Yeah.
first 22 cards of the tarot deck are called the Fool's Journey. They go in order and they are exact. That's his book, his journey was exactly the Fool's Journey.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Ron Howard says there's only one story. Some people say there's three. Ron Howard says there's only one. It is in the deck. It is the Fool's Journey. That's where it came from. And
Interesting.
each card showed, like, if you were watching, a real easy one is was it not the Lord of the Flies, the Lord of the
Lord of the
Rings?
Rings, yeah.
You can put the cards down and tell exactly that's going to blow up. That's going to go well. We're
Mm.
changing some people here. And we're thinking differently now. So that is in the cards. So that's something. And what I think when you're doing a tarot reading, you're just seeing, oh, his story is out of order. So this goes here and this goes here.
Interesting.
Also, the first cards in the deck are Carl Jung's archetypes.
Okay.
So it's all connected. Again, the
Uh-huh.
collective consciousness.
Right.
It's all collective. In fact, I will tell you, this here is I guess people can't see.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
can
card
describe it.
called, yes, there's a card called the Lover's card, and
Okay.
it's two people. There's a male and a female and an angel above them. And
Gotcha.
people will always say that this is finding your perfect love or whatever, which it can be. But this is perfect love. The male is the conscious mind. He is looking to the subconscious mind, which is the female, and she is looking up to the angel. This creates the perfect triangle of coherence. He
Oh.
understands her, she understands God or the higher self, and it comes together. This is perfect knowing.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see if I can figure out, because that was a big jump. Okay. I'm going to pull two cards, and then all I'm going to have you do is tell me what you see. Okay. I'm going to
Okay.
pull an easy one.
And when you
And
say tell you what you see, you mean like psychically or
Just
what the cards look like to me?
just what they look like.
Okay.
Okay. So this card right here, it's the
Okay.
Six of Wands, if you know tarot. And wands are energy, idea, passion, invention. So just tell me what that card looks like to you.
So I see there's a man on a horse, and that man has a crown, but like a wreath sort of crown. And he's holding a stick that also has a wreath on it.
Yeah.
And there's some people around who are also holding these big long sticks like his, but they don't all have wreaths on them.
And he is actually riding to victory.
Ah, okay.
So it's a card of victory. If you want to get complicated, it's when we have won the battle, not the war. But everybody's like, "Yay! Here you go."
Gotcha.
Okay. So now, what do you see here?
Ooh, there's a bunch of swords in a person who's dead laying on the ground. Looks like there's a sea in the background, dark black sky. Yeah.
So this card is the Ten of Swords, and what is going on here? He's not actually dead,
Oh,
but he is just hit rock bottom.
yeah.
That is
Okay.
rock bottom. And everything behind him, the yellow is the conscious mind, the blue is the subconscious, the black is ignorance or like not knowing.
Okay.
But this card is when someone's troubles have finished. Okay. It can be terrible
Oh,
rock bottom, it
gosh.
can just be done. If anybody that knows these cards could see, his little fingers are in the yoga mudra of getting ready to rise like the phoenix.
That's so
Okay.
interesting because I would have looked at that and like, oh, bad things are coming, but it's saying kind of the opposite.
They're done. Yeah, they're done. When we see red in tarot, red represents our desires. And we want to have our desires so we can throw them off if we don't need them. If they're not working for us, we can change them. But he literally has them to his body, like, I'm going to do that, right?
Yeah.
But he is getting ready to get up. So if I give you the 10 of Swords and then the 6 of Wands, what's
Uh-huh.
going on?
I would say that it's someone whose desires are about to be victorious.
Yes. Yes, they're about to get up out of the bad luck and go to victory.
Yeah, because the guy in the victory one has a red sash, or not sash, but like gown on or something.
Yeah, it could be a sash or a cloak or yes.
Cloak, yeah, cloak. Very
So there you
interesting.
go. It's time to get up and do it because victory is coming.
There it is.
There you did your first reading.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for being here, Karen.
Thank you for having me.
It is so awesome that 10 years in, we are still doing exciting new things. Very awesome to have her on. She's performing a bunch coming up. She'll be at City Winery in Hudson Valley this Thursday the 9th and in Shirley, Massachusetts this Saturday the 11th. A ton of other shows are up as well, so go find out about them on KarenRontowski.com. Follow her on TikTok and Instagram at Rontowski and on Facebook at Karen Rontowski. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at There It Is Pod and subscribe to our YouTube channel at There It Is, and follow me on Instagram and Threads at Jason Farr Pics and on TikTok at Jason Farr Talks. Also subscribe to our comedy lifestyle newsletter and support us if you can. We have a Patreon and a PayPal. Go to thereitispod.com for newsletter and support info, links in bio. Until next time, be good to each other. It's a moral imperative.
The music for the theme song was created by Neil Brooks. The rap was written and performed by Nick Acevedo. The logo for There It Is was created by Jeff Prater. The There It Is podcast is produced by Jason Farr.